we can get some changes here.
It'll probably go away. Okay, hello folks. We're about that echo. We're about 1 minute late.
Great.
Nate's going to work on that echo issue. We're looking at blended whiskey. We may have William joining us, William Kepley, and Bill. I think Michael over there, Michael Jennings in Canada said he had to work tonight. He couldn't join us. So it's understandable. Oops, hold on, Will. We're looking at kind of an oddball thing tonight. Blended whiskey. Now, Nate K and Eric Fraunfelter over there in Massachusetts were saying, what about this whiskey? What about this whiskey? I said, well, no, those are just straight bourbons. It has to be blended, which could be any configuration, like say 51% whiskey and 49% grain neutral spirits. I think the one you have is 80%. I could be wrong, but I think it's 80% grain neutral spirits and 20% straight whiskey from Kentucky, right?
Yeah, this one says 80% grain neutral spirits. Yep.
Yeah. So what the deal is with that is they it's actually a type of whiskey according to the U.S. government. One of the top 100 selling brands of liquor in the world is Seagram's 7 Crown, which is a blend. And I was looking at those stats today. Seagram's 7 Crown, they sold a year or two ago 2.4 million 9-liter cases of that blended whiskey. So you think each case contains 9 1-liter bottles, and they sold 2.4 million of those cases. So I guess there is a market for blended whiskey. Is it the top thing? No, your top whiskeys are straight. Excuse my Thomas Dolby hair. I just washed it.
Blinded by science.
It blinded me. Yeah, with science. So you know, you're going to get Jack Daniels would be #1 from the United States straight whiskey, and of course #2 is Jim Beam. But this is blended with grain neutral spirits, which is pure alcohol made from some sort of vegetable matter. Doesn't matter what it is. It's odorless and tasteless. It's just a filler, like, you know, when we do the adjunct beers, the grain neutral spirits. This has been done for decades, for over 100 years. It's a popular type of thing for people that don't want to spend a lot. Now, Old Thompson, I was reading about this. It's a historic brand. They were saying you went and bought this at what place?
I found this at Blanchard's. It's kind of like a local chain of liquor stores. There's like 3 or 4 of them in Massachusetts, mostly on the South Shore in Boston.
Okay. And what's the price?
I think it was like 8 or 9, maybe $8.99, something like that.
So that's super low, man.
Cheap.
Yeah, it was for. Let's see, how big is this bottle
That's the
here?
750 milliliter.
750 milliliter bottle. No price tag on it though. Huh? I hang on to my receipts typically, but I should have.
I was looking on their website, and apparently they just copied off of this Sazerac. Glenmore Distillery is owned by Sazerac. Sell sheet. They said that James Thompson was born in the northern part of Ireland in 1855. He came to America at age 16, which would have been 1871. He was a whiskey seller, but he decided to go into whiskey distilling. He moved to Owensboro, Kentucky, at a place called Monarch Distilling, and he got his whiskey going. And right after World War I, his 2 sons joined. But unfortunately, what happened right after World War I? Prohibition. So luckily, they were able to secure a contract with the U.S. government to distill what they call medicinal whiskey. So they were able to survive. And then after Prohibition, they became one of the major distilling companies in the United States. They said in 1973 they were producing 540 barrels a day, but they did lose ground because in the 70s and 80s, whiskey was not popular. Okay, today we think bourbon is everything, right? You know, bourbon. But you know, actually, 30 and 40 years ago it was not popular relative to other drinks. So they basically stopped distilling in 1993, 24 years ago. They were bought out in 2009 by the Sazerac Company of Louisiana, I might add. They brought back Glenmore, and so now they're back into the distilling and bottling and aging business. They show some photographs of the the barrel rooms on the website. So, you know, it's Old Thompson is a historic brand now. Whether it's a good brand, I don't know. I'm looking at Ace Spirits, and they give a tasting and aroma, you know, a tasting and aroma note, little rundown. So after y'all try it, I'd like to see what you think about the taste and the aroma and see if it matches with what the sell sheet is saying. Oh, we have Michael from Brooklyn.
Hi, Jay.
Before we go to Michael, Eric and Nathaniel, have you ever had blended whiskey before?
I have a blended Scotch over here. I'm gonna grab it for a second.
Yeah,
what it is.
I'm sure I've had the Seagram. I know I've had Seagram 7 before, so I've had blended whiskeys before. I'm not sure if I've had the early times, but I think that's probably a blended whiskey as well.
Yeah, here it is. It's a blended Scotch. It's not exactly what we have, but it's Cutty Sark, and it is 100 proof. Yeah,
There you go.
100 proof Scotch.
Yeah, that's
So
when you're looking at the Scottish, and I appreciate y'all muting that so we don't get the echo.
Audrey.
When you look at this,
I'll get rid of it.
when you look at the Scottish blended whiskeys and the Canadian, it's a little different situation with regulations. I don't know what the percentage is of grain neutral spirits. From what I was reading today, apparently they use that filler. They just take any sort of vegetable matter, could be beets, celery, anything that will ferment, and they distill it till it's almost pure alcohol. You can buy that at the store, by the way. You can buy your own grain neutral spirits for two purposes. You can drink it and you'll die. Or if you're smart, you'll use it to make your own whiskey, like home brewing beer, right? So hopefully people will take the second route, which is the intelligent route, because we can get that here in local stores, and it's nearly 100% whiskey. I'm sorry, 100% pure alcohol. I tried it in Kentucky last month, and it'll light your lips on fire. Thompson, it's a historic brand. It used to be 86 proof. They've dropped it down to 80 proof, which seems to be what everybody wants these days. I would like to try it. It may be sold in Louisiana. This I do not know. I'll have to check. But I've got an assortment right here to my left of blended whiskey, 6 of them, so I've got a ways to go. Now, Michael Komaroff is joining us from New York City, the Brooklyn area, Brooklyn borough. What are you looking at, Michael?
I have 10 high here, which is
a blended bourbon.
And I have Philadelphia, which is a rye whiskey.
Wow.
Blend.
Yeah, that's it. That's very interesting. Now the 10 high is done at Barton. I went to Barton last month. They talked about 10 high. They said that was one of their top brands. What is the percentage on there? Did they give you the percentage between blended bourbon? I mean, between bourbon and grain neutral spirits? It should say that somewhere.
It says here, 51% straight whiskey aged at least 36 months, 49% grain neutral spirits. So it's about half and half.
Yeah.
And it's 80 proof.
80 proof. Now the Philadelphia, I'm sure, is 80 proof, and that's probably 80-20, but I don't know that.
It's also 80 proof. Let's see what the difference, if it has the difference here. That's only 20% Kentucky straight whiskey, 80% grain neutral spirits.
Right. So it's 80% just filler.
And 20% whiskey.
So in other words, it's 80% of that's designed to get you where you want to go for $9, and 20%.
And even the 10 high, which I think a couple of dollars more, is still very reasonably priced. And
I was reading some.
Go ahead. Okay, Jay.
Yeah, I was looking at some U.S. government web resources today, and they were talking about blended whiskey. William Kepley can join us because he does all this research. He said they were talking about this, about adding colors. They are allowed to add coloring. It has to be indicated on the bottle. So if they don't indicate it, if there's nothing on the bottle label to talk about color added or flavoring added, it has none of that. But there's an exception. This is fascinating to me. They said this. Y'all want to hear this?
Sure.
They said that are allowed to add what they called, where is this? Sherry. They're allowed to add a little bit of sherry to the product, but it can only be 1 or 2%. So some of this stuff might actually contain, yeah, it's right here. Here it is. They call it blending sherry, but it cannot exceed 2.5% of the volume. And these colorings and blended materials are considered harmless according to the U.S. government. So these may contain a small amount of sherry for whatever that's worth, but I figured I'd mention it because it is kind of interesting. A bourbon could never contain that. You know, like a Jim Beam could never contain that. Okay, now Eric and Nate, I have a few here. I've never opened the Barton. This was big in Kentucky. I saw this all around Kentucky. Barton blended whiskey. I think at one point I'll open it. You know how much this cost me? $5.99 plus tax. Don't ask. Club 400. Now, you know, a lot of people that live under a bridge really want to drink this. So I don't want to talk bad about it because, you know, I'm talking trash, but it may be all right. I haven't tried it out. I bought it in Kentucky. Now I've had, oh, here's Kessler. Kessler is the second biggest selling blended whiskey in the United States. Actually, this guy was pretty famous at one time, Kessler. And then I have two of these. I have Heaven Hill, Kentucky blended whiskey from, guess where, Kentucky. Although it may have been distilled in Indiana. And I have Beam's 8-Star, which is definitely distilled in Kentucky and blended and bottled in Kentucky. So I'm not sure which one I should try tonight. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. We have Jean, the Beer Ramble. Whoops, the Beer Ramble from Mobile. I really, Jean, I want to say this to you. I intend to drive out there one visit you in Mobile. If you want me to, you may say, no, don't come out here.
No. It ain't gonna be anything like that, man. Yeah, sure, definitely. It'll have to be when it's so dead during the summer. I would say maybe sometime middle of July. I think that would probably be best. So
yeah, I'm looking into that seriously. No joke. I don't play around with that kind of stuff. I'm serious about that.
Yeah, we'll meet up for a weekend. Go get some seafood at one of the restaurants on the Causeway, whether it be Ed's Seafood Shed or Original Oyster House, something like that. So.
Oh, that would be a real visit.
Yeah, definitely. And we won't go to some of the rough parts of Mobile.
Well, I taught at court school for 6 years, so that's where my job was for 6 years at what they call, and I think we all know what court school is. But you said you had a little experience with drinking a little too much blended whiskey at a parade one night?
Yeah, it was at one of the parades. It was something, I'd mixed it with some Coke, and for whatever reason, it just, I see Eric back there laughing, but yeah, I was mixing it with some Coke, and I drank it, and it was like, feeling good. And then all of a sudden, about the morning, I was like, oh, this is just, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh, what's this? Oh, horrible. And it
Wait,
was just,
you didn't feel comfortable telling us which one it was.
no, I don't remember, and it's not worth discussing. It was just a bad blend. Something with it began with the letter C on it. And yes, it wasn't Country Club, but it began with the letter C. And it was just horrible. And I said never again. And actually, Alexa's cousin started laughing and said, yeah, that serves you right, buying all that cheap shit,
Wait a minute. When I was in Kentucky, I saw Country Club. Not Country Club, excuse me, retract. It was called Clubhouse blended whiskey.
It might have.
And then they had a blended. You see, because when I was in Louisiana, I bought this Clubhouse gin.
Right.
Well, it tasted weird, but it didn't make me sick. Well, of course, I just drank a little bit. So it could have been Clubhouse. Well, anyway, who knows?
Right.
I'm gonna pour a little bit. I think I'm gonna pour a little bit of this Beams 8-star. Hey, you know what? It has. They have to tell you how long it's been aged.
Right.
This one here has been aged. Don't laugh at me. This has been aged 2 years minimum. Oh wow, 2 years.
Would that be considered a bargain brand sort of thing, or would that be sort of like top shelf, like Ciroc and all that other stuff? Beam 8-star.
John,
Yes.
Beams 8-star. I ordered this through Mathern's, and it cost me $7.99.
Oh,
for this.
okay, that is bargain. Okay.
Yeah, that's at your cost plus stores. Okay. But they sell a lot of it. I mean, everywhere I went in Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, they had it. So, I mean, somebody's drinking it, right? And it's not all people that live under a bridge.
Hey, I just saw Eric. I said, Eric, go ahead, man. Take a swig of that, man.
No, the cap's still on, and the cap is still on while Nate's drinking it. We're not that crazy tonight. It's only Wednesday.
Hey, but I'm curious, but all jokes aside, Nate K.
What up?
I know we got that echo issue.
Yeah, I know.
Don't
We're not really sure how to fix that.
Their
We're gonna
volume,
mute it and stuff.
and then you can respond. Their volume is jacked up too high. They don't know how to fix it. No, but they've never had it, and they bought it at a place called Blanchard's Liquors in Massachusetts, and I think they paid $8.99. Now, I mean, $8.99 for a big old bottle. I paid $7.99. So I'm curious. And then, Jean, before you came on air, I was in Frankfort, Kentucky, and I bought this bottle for $5.99. Oh, that's a delight.
Okay.
Hey,
Wow.
Barton. It actually may not be bad. I went on a tour of their distillery.
Made by the same company. This is made by Barton also, this 10 High bourbon that I have.
Well, you're right. That's right.
Again, another bargain, a bargain brand.
I'm going to have to ask a question to every single one of you, but go ahead with the examination, Jay.
No, ask the question, then we'll go to their tasting.
Okay. The people you guys have talked to when you go to the liquor stores or go to, these tastings, when just people, when you're just talking, what is, I guess, their price range, one, and two, what do they prefer? What do they, when you drink something like the stuff you guys are having, what's the feedback you guys get? Are they pro, do they like to save? Do you like to say, hey, this stuff ain't bad? Or say, no, I can't do this. I got to go with, the Jim Beam, the Johnny Walker, the Jack Daniels,
That's a great question. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a great question. And I'm like you, Jean. I like to pick up on the body language and the tone that people use when you go into a store. So when I went to the liquor store
or tastings, anything,
Yeah, but okay, let's give you an example. The liquor store, and it was called Red Dot Liquors on United States Highway 127 northbound in Frankfort, Kentucky. Beautiful store, by the way. So I went in there, and they were serious. These were not people that were out to put you down. I asked about different brands. Oh yeah, they were telling me. And then the one I asked about, they didn't think they sold, but actually they did sell it. The Beams, not 8-star, well, they did have that, but it was the Beams Choice, which was twice as expensive. So anyway, but they don't cap an attitude. In other words, they're in there for business. They don't care what you buy. If you're a regular customer and you're coming in there asking about, I don't care what it is, Hartley brandy, which is $6.99 a bottle. If you're asking about Beams 8-star or Heaven Hill, Kentucky blended whiskey, they are not going to catch an attitude with you. They're going to help you. They're going to talk serious to you. They think you're somebody that's trying to buy this for whatever particular reason, even though it's low priced. So my experience is that the attitude is not negative.
Good.
Now, on the other hand, do they have people coming in there paying $150 a bottle for the Jack Daniel's Frank Sinatra version whiskey? Yes, and they're going to talk to them. But my experience is that these liquor stores do not catch a bad attitude with people, regardless of what price level they're at. And I think that's a good procedure to have, or a good policy, because when you start being a liquor snob with your own customers, you might run into some trouble. But I didn't run into that. They were fair all along, across the board. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah. Let me ask, Nate and Eric and Michael what their thoughts on that.
Yeah, our thoughts. Nate, you were talking about you're a pretty easy person to please, so it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah. I like Irish whiskey. I'm Scottish, so I like Scotch. I'm just gonna profile on that. It's not appropriate or anything. I am mostly Scottish, so it's all good. But I do enjoy a nice Irish or Scotch. Then some bourbon. Makers, I usually go for makers if I'm going to drink whiskey. And then, for cheaper stuff, I'm going to do cheaper stuff. I'll use it for cooking. You said, I could use this for cooking, and for $8, I could use this for cooking and not feel bad about it. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. I know we're getting that bad echo. But what Jean was asking about, he was and I know y'all went to the liquor store today and bought it this afternoon, but he was asking, what was the attitude of the liquor store? Did they have a funny attitude about it?
I didn't exactly get that far with them. I just kind of found it on my own. Sometimes I'll ask for them for help, but they didn't give me any attitude when I get at checkout either. So.
For me, at least, I don't know about Nate, but sometimes even if you are shopping for malt liquors or something like that, or try to get a 30-pack of some kind of beer or whatever it is, sometimes the liquor store owner might look at you kind of funny just because you look at you're buying a lot of alcohol or cheap alcohol and you don't even look 21. Okay, but I think if you're a little bit older and you kind of don't look like a hobo, not to make fun of hobos, but if you look like a hobo and you're gonna buy this, yeah, maybe you might get weirder looks.
We got plenty of bridges in Brockton, so it's all good.
Like the comment. Good.
I know they're having that problem with the echo. They don't show us the bottle.
You see it? Lift
I'm
it
gonna
up.
let Nate, and then we're gonna go to Michael. I'm gonna let Nate K and Eric.
Jay, we're getting reverb from you too. I don't know why.
I think you might want to turn your volume down.
Okay, I will.
Let me turn mine down too.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think so. Because what was happening is when I was talking, Michael's microphone was picking it up, and then it was playing it back to me, so it was making that loop, that looping sound. So we're going to go to Michael. But before that, let's go to Nate K and Eric. I want to see what they say about this blended whiskey, and then I'm going to compare what they say to the notes, and then I'll go over to Michael, and then down to myself and Jean. He's going to talk about a beer for just a little bit.
Muted on my screen. Are they muted on yours?
K and Eric, go ahead. You got the floor for now.
Go for it, Eric.
All right, I'm going for it.
Go for it.
It definitely, I don't know if you can see that there, but it definitely has.
Pull it up a little bit. You got it.
There you go. You can definitely see some of the legs and some of the like droplet kind of forming lacing on the glass. So it definitely looks, you know, 80% or 80 proof, not 8%, 80 proof.
It's definitely got like a sugary scent to it, kind of a real sweet scent to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like maple syrup. I wouldn't say it's quite like that, but it has the grainy kind of a spirit aspect to it. It's got a little bit, to me, it has a tiny touch of that gin, almost kind of a rubbing alcohol kind of a smell to it.
I
A little bit.
I got a little bit of like almost a rum kind of smell to it.
Yeah, very very light amount of the or like a brown sugar kind of a smell.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And that's kind of how it's. I think that's kind of how it's drinking. I mean, we're just drinking it at the room temperature, which is somewhere around, I don't know, 55 degrees and probably going down at this point.
We're at 75.
Well, 75 here, so there you go.
Now, are we doing taste also?
Yeah.
All right. So on this, I taste a kind of a flavor, a light flavor of licorice a little bit.
Really?
Kind of a light licorice flavor for me. But it's also a very, very sharp alcohol presence, of course, on it, being 40%, 80 proof. Kind of expected. Not a horrific burn though on the way down. So
no, that's where I would say. I mean, it has some of those notes of the alcohol. You know, for me, it's more towards the sip when it goes down. You can kind of feel a warming sensation. It's not overly harsh to the point where it burns or stings when you taste it. Although it does have a good alcohol presence about it when you do take a drink, but it's not hot. It's not hot or really, really, really harsh. I don't think if you liked whiskey or you liked alcohol or liquors, that if you tried this for the first time, it would really be one that you might gravitate towards. It is a little bit on the harsh side, but I think for what it is, it's not really all that harsh. And the first time that I had the sip of it this evening, I didn't think it was really that harsh. Although I can see in its price point why it's put into that price point, just sort of flavor wise and complexity wise. It's not really all that overly complex or all that really exciting, nor is it really a terrible whiskey. I think it's perfectly priced for what it is, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? To go back to what Eric was saying about, you know, the alcohol presence and how it tastes. If I had to compare these side by side, for example, all right, you have 10 extra proof on this one here. And I'd say that even with more alcohol in this, it's smoother than this one here, the one that we're examining tonight. Smooth is not exactly the word I would use to it, but it's not the most, you know, it's not like drinking vodka straight.
You're right.
So that's just my opinion on it.
A few comments. Maxwell says hello, Ronald. Justin Sharp says hello. How are you? I'm doing fine. And Justin Sharp says, so I'm surviving. How about you? Says, while he's in Moscow, there's terrible weather, rain. How is your weather? Geary comments often. He says, cheap whiskey would have been considered 1880s. Experiencing paradise, not unless you don't drink water while you're drinking. The mash batches leave no side effects. Yeah, I think that the quality control is 120 years ago. Talking about the hot 90-degree weather. Maxwell said, let's talk about beer, Ronald. How can you send a beer from Moscow? I don't know. I can do it. Geary says, my nephew in the Peace Corps in the Ukraine says they have eggs and 2 double shots of vodka for breakfast every day.
Wow.
And got married. True story. Yeah. Yeah. Russia and Ukraine and White Russia have a little problem with vodka, major vodka consumption. Eric Alliance fan says, hi, Ron. Max probably set at U.S. Customs to send it from Russia. Oh, yeah, it would cost a fortune. Wouldn't be worth it. Adam Kennedy said, what you drinking on? I'm drinking on this Beams 8-star. Ooh, I'll stick on my old number 7. Oh. That. Adam says, Ron is the man. Scott Bling says, hi, Ronald. Hey, Scott. Some comments later. Y'all paid $8.99 for the bottle, and you said it wasn't horrible. Well, I guess that's a pretty good praiseworthy statement considering what you paid. Of Kentucky, it's coming out of Kentucky, so I guess they know what they're doing over there in that state. Barton is not, Glenmore Distilling is not exactly a company that started last year. Okay, now Michael, he's going to talk to us a little bit, and then we're going to go down south to Jean and myself.
John, first of all, in answer to your question, when I go to the liquor store, the cheap section is separated from where the good whiskeys are. So you know when you're there, the people who you're shopping with are looking for the same thing. The help will come over there and answer questions if you want, but they seem to spend most of the time in the more expensive section. Now, this is in Brooklyn. I assume in different places it might be different. You know, you're in a big city and they're trying to make as much money because the real estate is so expensive to operate businesses. They're trying to make extra money. So they're pushing the top brands. Obviously, they're not going to give up whatever they get from the cheaper whiskeys. So they're happy to sell to you. But unless you call somebody over to help you, they're over in the next section. They're not near where the cheap whiskeys are. So I basically have done my own shopping. I know a little bit about it. I knew about Barton, that they were a company that's been, according to the bottle, since 1879. So that's a while. I mean, not quite 100 years. I guess more than 100 years, but not quite 200 years yet. Or is it more than 200 years? My math isn't good. Anyway.
It's 138.
130. What I'm having is this 10 High whiskey, and I have it in my San Francisco Giant. Let's see, can you see it? Shot glass. And the Giants are tanking, so it's a good reason to drink anyway. And I guess I would describe this as you can definitely taste the alcohol in your first sip. It's 80 proof. You can taste the alcohol, but it's not like you would call it rot gut, because you could tell that it's at least a good manufactured product. I mean, it's not as good maybe as some of the top-notch bourbons, but you're getting what you're paying for. And it goes down pretty easy. And the other comment before about making sure that you drink enough water when you're drinking hard liquor is a good idea, because it helps spread it out and you're less likely to have a hangover the next day. Of course, depending on how much you're drinking.
Right.
Doing some research on the internet, and apparently 10 High, particular brand, like say in the World War II, the 1950s era, they used to have numerous magazine advertisements for it, not anymore. But so it's not some just Johnny-come-lately item. Of course, even back then, back in the 1940s and 50s, it was sold as a budget-priced brand. It wasn't sold as a top shelf, but it was popular. Now, you can tell us.
Ron, you just drifted out. I didn't hear what you said.
I don't know how that blended bourbon tastes, but you could tell us.
Okay. I guess the main other I've had several other bourbons, a couple of different Jack Daniels brands, which I guess you'd say would be a little bit higher level than this. But for what this is, a blended bourbon whiskey, I would say it's good. And again, what I said about the price, for the price, I think it's very good. And I don't mix my bourbon. I just have it neat. I don't add ice or anything to it. If you're going to mix it with something, it probably should be all right also, I would think.
Yeah.
During the winter, I'm sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Jean, because I want to go back to Eric and Nate and see how their tasting notes match up with their what the company says about it. What were we saying during the winter? What?
I would say during the winter, I guess it's best to drink it, straight. Some people like it warm. Any of their whiskeys, warm whiskey, warm rum. And then during the summer months, I guess room temperature. If you've got the AC blasting throughout the day during the summer months, or just throw some ice, whatever, drink it, you know, straight, you know. But I know people like to mix it with Coke or, you know, Sprite, whatever, you know, certain things you can mix with this, mix with that, you know, daiquiris and all that crap. So.
About, you know, I'm drinking this Beams 8-star, and I'm going to be honest. There's nothing bad about it. Taste it. I'm smelling it. You know, it's everything is faint coconut, faint oak, faint sugar, caramel. Wait, but I think like the winter time, like say January or December, January, you got a sore throat and somebody takes this stuff and they mix it with honey, whatever else, and they make a hot toddy. Fine. You're not going to sit there and 99 cents and then talk about how pitifully complex it is. I mean, that and think that. But these people buy this, like Jean's saying, and Michael and them, to make mixed drinks. They're not going to reflect upon it too heavily. Why you see it in every store, and it every day, and they're not all bums who live on the street and have no job. Okay.
And that's what the kind of get what I'm getting at. You know, there's this thing. You buy this, you're a bum. You know, he's, you know, a working schlep. You know, white trash. You know, living in the whatever, this, you know, black dude, you know, he looks all, you know, buying this, you know, same guy that buys ND 2020 or, you know, buys Steel Reserve, you know, and, you know, he's just on the streets is just a complete douchebag, and, and but that often that's not the case, you know. So.
No, because a lot of people don't live like garbage, but maybe they don't have a lot of income. Something enjoyable, but they don't have layout for expensive bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they say, oh well, okay, I'll pay $7.99 and buy Beams 8-star. Not the greatest thing, but it serves the purpose. Whatever. I'm not over here to tout it. I don't work for that company. You know, whether they make it or not, I bought it. I wanted to try it. You know, it's working fine. Thing out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's cheap, okay? And we're not trying to say it's better than cheap, okay? We know what it is. Let's see. We got some comments, and then we'll go to Nate. Bird Dog is a good cheap whiskey for a fifth and good as hell. I've never had it. And high is nasty.
Wow.
Evan Williams makes a good cheap bourbon, but the best, in my opinion, is Woodford Reserve for a good bourbon. I've never had it, but it's on my to try list.
I have Maker's.
No, wait, Nate K and Eric. For a second. They got these audio issues. Okay, I want to read the notes here. Okay, let me get off Old Thompson website up. Spirits, but there is a website, Sazerac.com. But let's get off of Sazerac website, and you can get it in all kind of configuration. Let's go to Old Thompson. They have some tasting notes. Obviously, that's from Sazerac. And I'm going to read these and be honest. If they're wrong, they're wrong. You know, I don't care. What they say. It's a dark gold cast. So it's dark gold in the appearance with an amber cast. Light body. Think about what I'm saying. Moderately light body. Citrus, dried herbs, and minerals. Like a metallic rock. Okay, so plenty, lightly spiced impression with a slightly tangy, fruity note. That's the description from Ace Liquors, Sazerac, Old Thompson, Glenmore Distilling. Description.
I'm very curious about the whole. very curious about the whole citrusy thing. I think sometimes maybe we kind of invent flavors in our head when we taste things. And I'm really not tasting anything citrusy out of this at all.
Yeah, I would say that their description of the color and its appearance are about right. I think that both of us would agree that it is a lighter-bodied and lighter-oriented whiskey. I do personally, just to confirm that, yep, I do personally get the spice notes they're talking about. So potentially, unless they're using other things, potentially there is a presence of rye in the mash somewhere. I guess it could be considered minerally, although then again, only because you said it, I might be thinking of that. If you didn't say it, I wouldn't be thinking minerally spirit kind of a flavor to it.
I can't even make up the citrus flavor.
And the citrus flavor, I mean,
you know.
no, I'm not really getting the citrusy flavors. The main flavor that I am getting is a little bit of a caramel kind of a flavor, some of that spicy note, and the note of the alcohol, and that's pretty much what I get out of it, right?
That's it, man.
So we agree to some aspects, and in others we don't agree with their tasting notes. Although, then again, we're bigger beer drinkers, and we know more about the beer flavors than we do whiskey flavors. So maybe we're not so versed on all the whiskey and alcohol terms quite yet in our lifetime.
They can hate on us. It's all good.
No, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad because I'm in the same boat. I'm an amateur. I'm going to go around the horn, and since I'm talking, I'll just say, would I buy it again? Would I buy Beam's 8-star again? Again, because of always jumping from brand to brand, trying everything. Just to say it's cheap, and if somebody wanted to try it, I would say, yeah, go ahead and try it, because it does have some character. And for $7.99, I mean, look how much is left in the bottle. It's not like, it's like Eric and Nate said, you could some bacon with it and dump a little bit in the pan, and it would add character to the eggs and bacon. So I don't think you're out the short end of the stick either way. So yeah, I would buy it again, but I wouldn't try to overhype it. It's a basic product, but there's honestly, in my case with this, there's nothing bad, foul, or off-putting with it. Unlike this wine that I posted this morning, which was a nightmare in a bottle. I swear, it would be in the top 10 worst items I've ever had because I literally dumped it down the sink, and I did not mind throwing away that $6.
What kind of wine was it?
Jean, when you drink a wine and it tastes like beef marinade, we got a
Oh
problem.
no.
It was called, just look at my channel. It's called Gibson's Madeira. I swear, I'm still in shock a little bit. I'm having like post-traumatic stress syndrome from it. Well, anyway, so Beam's 8-star, yeah, I would try it. As to what it is, not expecting much. We're going to get back to you, Jean. We're going to go to Eric and Nate and then Michael, and then we'll come back to you and you'll tell us about the beer for a minute. And then Michael.
Want me to go now?
I guess to conclude what we talked about with the whiskey, if I would personally buy this whiskey again, I don't think that there's any major flaws with the whiskey as far as a blended whiskey is concerned. I don't know if it would be something that I would ever seek out again. It's not outstanding, or doesn't stand out in my mind, or I wouldn't like walk by it at a liquor store and go, oh, Old Thompson. Great memories. I need this. What would you say about that, Nate?
If I were cooking something, I mean, in general, I'd take some Jack Daniels or some other kind of bourbon, or I'd commit the ultimate sin of pouring it on chicken or whatever. But in this case, if I was on a budget, I'd probably grab it just to make some bourbon chicken. Why the hell not?
So you would recommend it within context?
Yeah. Why not? If you were low on budget and you want to make something better out of like a meal, you might use this as a seasoning component.
A marinade or something like that,
For legal age college students making mixed drinks.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the age really fast here, you said that legally they were supposed to list the age on a blended whiskey. This bottle of Old Thompson doesn't mention anything about its age.
Uh-oh.
Look on the neck. Look on the neck.
The neck says,
Surgeon General's warning.
Surgeon General's warning, we love to hear from our customers, Sazerac.com, and then it says Old Thompson Premium. That is nothing about it. But I assume it's probably at least 2 years old, right?
Let me explain that. If it does not give an age rating, it would have to be at least 4 years old. Okay, so the whiskey, not the grain neutral spirits, which is just pure alcohol. Whiskey would have to have been aged at least 4 years. So if it's 4 years or older, they do not have to list it. If it's under 4 years, they have to give an exact indication of how old it is. So what you're looking at could be 4 years old. You know, that's not, you know, this Beams 8-Star tells me very clearly, it says aged at least 2 years. 2 years or older. They're at the minimum. This is, so you're looking at something that might be a little higher quality than your average cheap stuff. To Michael and then Jean.
Both my bottles, both the 10 high that I'm drinking and the Philadelphia, are both 36 months, which lists it as 3 years, which maybe that's average for the cheaper blended whiskeys.
Yeah, and it's in the charred barrels. Yep.
Right. And I think I would buy this again for exactly what it is. I mean, if I was going to be having company who expects better bourbon, I would get something else. But if it's just for mixed drinks or for myself, and I guess I don't cook with hard liquor, but I guess it could be used for cooking as well. But I would buy it again.
I didn't hear you say anything about unusual, off, or disturbing flavors.
No, I think the flavors are very kind of standard bourbon flavors. It's just you can tell the difference between it and your really more high-level bourbons. It's not, you can tell that it has been well made, but it's not, they're not trying to do the same thing. They're not trying to get to that upper level of smoothness. Jack Daniel's is smoother. Have you had Jack Daniel's number 7? That's smoother. I mean, it's just a different quality. And it says it's sour mash. Is that a terminology or is that a fact?
That's a fact. It has to be, if they say it's sour mash, it has to be done. That's just a method they use to get it to start aging, really. That doesn't mean it's good. It just means they use the sour mash method, which people can read about that on the internet. And that's something that Dr. James Crow, bourbon, popularized sour mash method, and it's a very effective method, and it's used very commonly in whiskey and bourbon, so it's not that rare. What Michael's talking about is sort of like comparing Miller High Life to, say, Anchor Steam. Like Miller High Life will do the trick. Miller High Life will do the trick, but nobody in their right mind is going to say it's to the level of an Anchor Steam, right?
No, that's good. That's a good comparison.
I agree.
I'm going to say the Beams 8-Star is fine if you look at it for what it is. Now, Jean, go ahead. You have the floor before we close it out.
No, I'm just gonna say I wasn't really drinking much. All I'm saying is that you know, we've seen these trends tend to happen a lot. You know, we saw when certain movies or TV shows, whatever, will bring these new trends. You know, Sideways, for example, there was sort of now this new trend of people drinking red wine. It was sort of the popularity. All types on red and white. And then you saw whether it be all the Bond films or whatever, and you know, people, you know, doing these, you know, bourbon tastings, you know, go to Kentucky, these tastings, you see the demographics of women drinking bourbon and things like that, drinking whiskey, and You know, you see that new trend, and you know, you see the new trend of craft beers. Everything's all a trend. All I'm going to say is, folks, whatever floats your boat, whatever you enjoy, you know. And also, if you feel that, you know, these things are, you want to watch your pocketbook and making sure that, hey, I'd rather drink this, and you know, people want to look at me funny at the liquor store or at the tastings, and you know, I'm buying this brand versus, you know, Jim Beam or Evan Williams. So be it. You know, whatever your preference, whatever you enjoy, you know. And that's kind of my commentary on that.
I think that's a fair comment. Last few comments here from the viewers. Scott Ibling said, did anyone ever find out why it's called Beam's 8-star? No, it's like a mystery. Like, why do they call it 8-star? It's only aged for 2 years. Seemed like they should call it 2-star. No stars, but they call it 8-star. I'm sure it has some kind of, no one knows what it is. So you might win that $1 million. Why was this in my channel recommended? I live a Vichy. I don't know, Billy. Maybe some sent you some cheap whiskey thinking you'd give us money or something. I don't know. All right. Adam Kennedy said, is a good. I have a bottle of Kessler's right here, and I'm curious to try it since it's the second best-selling American. From Prague. Greetings to you from Prague. I love Pilsner Urquell, by the way. Adam Kennedy says, I'm from Pittsburgh, baby. Go Pens. What have the Pittsburgh Penguins ever done besides win multiple championships?
Burn!
Aside from all those, what have they ever done? You know, I'm obviously kidding. Bart says, this is a gym. I've heard that, and I see a lot of people buying it. Adam says, go with quality when it comes to liquor. Beer, you can go cheap. A lot of people would flip-flop that. They'd say they like quality beer and cheap liquor. So Adam says, Wild Irish Rose is a good wine for a cheap wine. You know what, Adam? I'm going to say no, I don't really agree with that. If I'm going to buy a cheap wine, it ain't going to be Wild Irish Rose. It's going to be Vin Rosé or see Burgundy, honestly, or the red, the sweet red. To Mobile, I think I'm going to bring 3-liter bottle of some Parmesan wine if he doesn't mind. He might mind.
That's not a problem. I would accept that. Thank you.
I just going to give you the bottle.
Oh.
It's fun watching a stream about cheap whiskey while I'm currently drinking cheap beer. Yeah. I drank Milwaukee's Best tonight. I know about cheap beer. Adam says, I'm drinking he says, I'm drinking on a Yingling. Fridge, Yingling Black and Tan, by the way. And then Scott says, I'm drinking Natty Ice. Good choice. Well, that's it. We've been on here for almost an hour. Any last comments?
Can I ask Eric to come back to ask him a beer question?
Sure.
I know his volume is
We're
off.
very open.
Ask him to come back, or will he come back?
Who's that?
Eric.
As soon as Eric starts talking, his volume will come on. So
okay, Eric, can you hear me?
Eric.
Hello.
Hi, Eric. So anyway, Eric, I picked up this Sierra Nevada Beer Camp 12-pack, which I'm sure you've seen or at least heard of as you're watching on these different beer blogs.
Yes.
And my question to you is, there is a treehouse in it, and I'm getting a lot of negative feedback on it. I haven't tried mine yet, but I'm getting feedback from some people who have heard anybody in Massachusetts who's tried it to compare it with the regular treehouse stuff they brew themselves.
To tell you the truth, I've never had Treehouse, nor have I tried this particular beer yet, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to trying that and finding it. I'm not sure what the negative connotation would be, other than there are probably a lot of people in my neck of the woods that like their IPAs, that like how independent they are, and probably don't want to see them get together with a big brand like Sierra Nevada and try to screw up their good name and reputation, I bet. But again, I think that's because a lot of people really love their New England style IPAs and don't want to see them going down the path of the big boys. That's kind of what I think about that, though.
I've never tried it. This is my first experience doing it, so this is the first thing I've tried exact stuff. The juicy,
yeah, the East Coast,
juicy New England style.
Yeah, the East Coast New England style IPA is definitely going to be juicy.
I can add something to that. I'll let you know this. I was in Paris, Louisiana, right off of Jefferson Highway Saturday, and I drank. Oh, I'm sorry, Sunday. This week, Sunday, and I drank some of that Treehouse slash Treehouse, and I have a video in my archives, and I plan to post that. So, Michael, and you might be interested to watch it. We had some very interesting thoughts about that beer.
So when do you think you'll put that up? I'm interested for sure.
I'm so backlogged, it could be 5 to 7 days, because when I went to that guy's house, I don't know if you ever watched the videos with David, the guy with the big beard.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them.
To do with another person too.
Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. So I was like, my memory card is going to go out. So I just kept recording one review after the other. And he was just like wanting to drink one beer after the other. And I was like, David, I have to drive. You know, I can't. So, but he gets like in a frenzy. So extreme beer tasting coming out here this Saturday. He wants to do some more like alcoholic enjoyment. Yeah, I would say it will be sooner than later.
Okay, I appreciate it, because I'm not going to have it for a little while, but you know with IPAs, you want to drink them when they're as fresh as possible.
It'll be all right for 5 more days. 5 more days, it'll be all right, but
certainly this was canned at the end of April, so it's still probably good into mid-June without any problem.
Yeah, just to give you a little preview, we had some mixed feelings about it. So,
okay, like I said,
a little tease. Okay, we had mixed feelings. We weren't necessarily. Yeah, buying, worth buying. If I saw that 12-pack tomorrow, I'd buy it without any hesitation.
So it hasn't made it to Methurns yet? Methurns didn't pick up any of the Sierra Nevada beer camp?
No, because right now they have so many brands coming in. They're drowning. Situation where they're drowning in beer brands. You know what I mean? Like,
I got it. My food co-op got it, and I knew I had to get it quickly because there's a lot of people who shop there, and the beer buyer said, make sure you get it because they probably would not have a backup supply. So whatever they had, they brought out, and I was able to get one. I might buy another one before, but again, I don't like to backlog myself, my own supply that much either.
How much did you pay for the 12-pack, Mike?
It was like $25 in the food co-op.
Woo, all right, gotcha.
But it goes for $30 pretty much around Brooklyn and regular retail places.
Same here. It was $2 a bottle. But and Michael, I'm sorry, not Michael. My friend David told me, he said, look, it's sold out in hours. He said, so if you think you're going to go to the store and buy it, forget it. You ain't going to buy it.
It's probably
gone. A little bit of it.
Probably gone by now. I probably can't buy anymore.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I mean, it's able to try 2 or 3 of them, and they were really interesting. I have to say that. So anyway, look at something more, what you would say, regular. Tonight was regular since every store sells it. But anyway, next week on the 21st.
Summer Ale still?
Samuel Adams Summer Ale, which is a modern classic.
I can get that, no problem.
And if you don't like that beer, you just don't like beer, right? Like you just hate beer.
Okay, goodbye then. I don't like that beer.
Friend you on Facebook because. Okay.
It's all good.
Is a thing from William, but I haven't been hearing from William as much because I'm kind of bad. Actually, is feeling kind of sick. But talked about this concept on June 28th. He can't. This is William's idea. This is not my idea. Liquor Mount Rushmore, and I think Erica Lyons fan might want to try Malt Liquor Mount Rushmore. This Canadian Mist, another whiskey, and then July 12th is another idea from William Kepley. He called it Second Chance Beer. And I said, what do you mean Second Chance Beer? He said, well, you tried, and the first time you didn't really like it too much. And then the second time you tried it, you thought, oh, I'm going for it. It wasn't this beer, it was me. Something was wrong with me. So I thought that was a fascinating concept. Beer. And I think y'all agree with that.
Second chance beer, I mean like beers you would like to try. You've had it the first time, you want to try it again kind of thing?
The time you tried it, you didn't really like it too much, but then you tried it again and you started to like it.
Okay.
Beers like that, right? Like the first time you tried it, you were like, I don't know about this beer. But then you kind of like got used to it and you started to like it.
Yeah, there have been a few of them. I can start, I would say, mostly, I would say in the high gravity range, you know, which early on, yeah, I stopped, never did that again, and then kind of came back to it thanks to you, Jay. Not all the time, but here and there. Not all the time, but here and there.
Oh, I know I got to get on that highway and take that ride.
All right.
I'm going to Mobile. I'm going to Mobile. Let me say it one more time.
So let me know. I'll try to set, we'll get together. We'll go and just hang out. And if I don't have the kid, I'll be good. You know what? Let me see. Saturday would have been great. I got to work Saturday. Fuck. Anyway.
I'm serious. I never make up lies about this town. Michael Comer,
I totally understand.
Back me up on that. When I said I was driving to Brooklyn, what happened?
You drove to Brooklyn.
And there you are, showed up.
I drove to Brooklyn. All right. I drove to Massachusetts to Boston 4 years ago, and I went to see the Boston Red Sox for the second time. And I would highly recommend that. Shut it off. I would highly recommend.
And you met up with Eric and Nate.
No, but I did go see the Red Sox.
Yeah, come up and visit us. Come up and visit us. We're cool. We're nice people sometimes. We're even friendly sometimes. For New Englanders, we're pretty friendly.
I love your IPAs, up there in New England, definitely.
Even I can be nice. Okay, well, folks, and everybody take care and have a good rest of the week.
And goodbye. And John, goodbye. Jay, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Mike.
Bye.
And be careful and have a good, safe weekend now.
All right, y'all.